Hey guys, I didn't want to leave you empty-handed before going away on my trip, so I've made a Bandos Godwars Dungeon Guide for you all. This guide will show the setups and techniques for successfully killing the Bandos Godwars Dungeon boss since the latest batch of updates to the evolution of combat. Whether it is for recreation or money, this guide will help you. The Bandos boss is found inside the Godwars dungeon, and in order to enter the Godwars dungeon, you'll need 60 strength or agility. It is also recommended to have completed the Edgar's Rouge quest, as you will unlock the Trollheim teleport, which teleports you close to the Godwars dungeon entrance. On top of this, you'll need at least level 70 strength to open the door to the Bandos kill count room, which is necessary to fight the boss. Before heading to Bandos Godwars dungeon, it's important to know a few things about the boss, which has changed dramatically since the Evolution of Combat update. It has a combat level of 210, it has 55,000 life points, it uses two combat styles which are melee and ranged with a max hit of 1500, and it has no weakness. He is capable of hitting over 1000 frequently with his melee attack and 500 plus damage with his ranged attack, which affects everyone in the room. There are also 3 minions within the Bandos Godwars dungeon boss room, which are level 146 combat and each attack with magic, ranged and melee respectively, just like every other Godwars dungeon boss. The recommended stats for soloing Bandos are 90 plus constitution, 90 plus attack and strength, 80 plus defense, 92 plus prayer, which is needed for soul split, which you will use to heal instead of having to use food, 90 plus herb lore, which is useful for extreme sets, adrenaline potions and overloads that can be boosted easily from level 90, and finally 67 plus summoning is recommended for the War Tortoise familiar or better, as a Beast of Burden familiar will be very useful for storing additional potions and extending the length of your solo trip, as well as storing loot or banking loot in the case of the Pack Yak familiar. These are the recommended stats for going on a trip to Bandos with 2 or more people. If you do not have soul split, you may need to bring some food or use a healing familiar. For Bandos Godwars dungeon duos, I recommend that both players have soul split and at least one of the duo partners has the levels I recommended earlier for soloing to maximize the length of the trip, because if 2 people were to go with the minimum stats listed on screen, the trip will not last as long, although it can definitely still be done. Before I continue any further with this guide, I would just like to point out that Godwars dungeon is a very dangerous area, especially inside the boss room, as if you do die you will need to get 40 kill count again in order to reach your gravestone, so I highly recommend going in a group if it is your first time and having an upgraded gravestone. Since the Evolution of Combat update, it has become much more difficult to get kill count quickly, so there is a high chance of not being able to retrieve items you lose on death. So keep this in mind before beginning a trip and only bring items that you're prepared to lose. It might also be a good idea to have a backup armor set and supplies ready in your bank in case you do die, so that you can get back as fast as possible. One of the most common ways people die at Bandos Godwars dungeon is from 50% loading screens, so avoid logging in directly inside of the Bandos boss room if at all possible. I will show you 3 different equipment setups that I recommend for solo or group Bandos Godwars dungeon trips to cater for as many budgets and skill levels as possible. The first setup is a high level void setup. This is the gear that I recommend for the fastest Bandos solos. This setup pretty much speaks for itself. It has the most offensive melee combat bonuses possible with the trade-off of lower defensive stats, but if used correctly, should be one of the best equipment setups to use at Bandos. The second setup is a high level Barrows setup. Instead of using Void Elite, Veracs is used and Barrows gloves and Dragon Rider boots are added. Veracs has the same prayer and defensive stats plus 1 prayer point extra to Bandos armor, and the Barrows gloves and Dragon Rider boots are the best to use as they provide a boost to all defensive stats, leading to more balanced and higher defense overall against the Bandos boss and its minions, which attack with all combat styles. The third and final setup is a low level Barrows setup. The Saradomin's Whisper, Kiln Cape, Onyx Ring Imbued, and Dragon Rider boots have been replaced with easier to obtain items. Keep in mind all of these setups can be changed up as much as you want and according to your budget and skills. For example, the Chaotic Maul can be substituted for a Veracs Flail. Remember to bring a Bandos item that you can wield for kill count, which I will explain later. Bandos boots may be good as they can be used with the Void melee set effect, but whatever suits your budget will do. Also remember the Zamorak arrow, as that will keep Zamorakian monsters, which are also found within the Bandos Godwars dungeon kill count area, unaggressive to you, and you may as well have it as you won't need any ammunition for killing the boss. Feel free to read the description for more information on what pieces of equipment you could substitute things for. I will show you 2 different inventory and Beast of Burden setups that I recommend for soloing Bandos. Both are aimed at completing 2-hour trips. The first is a high level setup with overload flasks and perennials to use every 5 minutes and adrenaline flasks to use whenever you can. The rocktails are there for emergency eating, and there is also some regular potions there which can be used when getting kill count to speed it up. You may notice a chaotic rapier and Kiteshield in the inventory. That is also there for emergencies where you may want to use a rejuvenate ability to heal 40% of your total life points. Keep in mind that this ability can now only be used once every 5 minutes due to recent updates. The Ganodermic boots are there to equip when inside the Bandos boss room, so that I have a slightly better defense, and I also have Reverence, which is an aura I would equip after penance run out. I highly recommend bringing penance as it allows you to last an hour without having to sip any prayer potions. Vampirism could also be used, however I will have more details on substitutes in the description. The teleport tabs allow me to teleport to Trollheim once, and then I can repair the remaining teleport tablet so that in an emergency or at the end of the trip I can easily get away from the Bandos Godwars dungeon room. To be able to chip house teleport tablets, you must have completed the Love Story quest. The second setup is a low level setup, substituting overloads with extreme sets and the pack yak familiar with the war tortoise. For duo and large group trips, I recommend bringing more stat and prayer boosting potions depending on the length you want to stay, and less food to cater for less damage taken, and an overall longer length trip. Beast of Burden familiars can be swapped out for healing familiars or fighting familiars, such as an Iron or Steel Titan, for faster kills, however it is completely up to you. If you're able to, Dreadnips may also be worth bringing along as they only take up 1 inventory space and can speed up the boss kills. These are the abilities that I recommend using at Bandos Godwars Dungeon. Have them bound to whatever keys you prefer. I like them in the current order as they go from basic to threshold and then to ultimate, with the abilities that recharge faster in that class listed first. So to begin with, we have Slice, Punish, Smash, Sever, Cleave, Hurricane, Quake, Assault, Berserk, Rejuvenate, Regenerate, and Quick Prez. You may notice that most of these abilities are AoE or Area of Effect abilities. These will be essential to use when purely relying on Soul Split as a source of life points. The basic strategy behind using these abilities is to use basics that take the least time to recharge, followed by another basic that takes the longest time to recharge, and then back to the first basic ability which should have recharged by then, and so it goes on. I will explain the exact order I use them later on when I get kill count and kill General Graardor. Once you're fully geared up and ready to take on Bandos, use your Trollheim teleport tablet or teleport spell and begin heading down Trollheim. So I like to head down east. I just go down this cliffside. It really doesn't matter which way you go, just as long as you reach the bottom. And I climb down this bit of cliffside here as well. Now be wary, there are some thrower trolls here, so don't go too close to them, otherwise they will throw rocks at you. And continue heading down, climb over these last bunch of rocks. And now you're down the bottom, so you're going to want to head northwest, which is the only way you can sort of go from here. And when you're getting fairly close to the thrower trolls like I am now, put on Protect from Range, or Deflect Missiles as it's now called, and head northwest. See, they're attacking me now, and just quickly run just in front of this large boulder here, and you can either lift or squeeze past the boulder. Lift is 60 strength, squeeze past is 60 agility, and it is actually faster than lifting. It's really not much of a time saver there, but I just prefer it. Then head north past these ice wolves. You can protect melee from them if you want, because they can do a little bit of damage, but it's really not too bad. Once you reach this snowy sort of region, your stats will start getting drained and your run energy will run out. Don't worry about that, just head down this hole. And now you will be in a region with all the Godwars dungeon monsters. Put on from Protect from Mage, it doesn't really matter, just head northwest. Don't panic. Keep Protect from Mage on, and now turn it off because you'll only be in a region with Bandos and Zamorak creatures, which you're safe from because you have your Bandos boots and your Zamorak arrows. And continue heading northwest and select bang big door, go through there, and now you'll be ready to get kill count. Before entering the Bandos Godwars dungeon room, you'll need 40 kill count. The best way to get your kill count to 40 is by killing spiritual rangers. If you brought any spare potions to use when getting kill count to speed up the process, use them now. So I'm obviously sipping my potions that I brought along to speed up the kill count, and I'm going to put on Turmoil and Soul Split, and I'm going to find some spiritual rangers to kill. So there's one over there. I'm going to attack it, and the first ability I'm going to use is Slice, and then I will use Punish, and then Slice again, and then if it's still alive I'll use Smash, and then I'll continue the process I just went through before, which is obviously Slice and Punish. So I'll continue to do this. So Slice, oh, that one had low health, Slice, then Punish, then Slice again, and if it's not dead by now you use Smash, and then use Slice and Punish again. And so you continue to do that till you get 40 kill count. Just be wary that you don't use any area of effect abilities. So you're not going to want to use Cleave, Hurricane, Quake, any of those, because they will cause other monsters around you to become aggressive towards you. And you can feel free to do that if you're high enough level and you're expecting that, and you'll be absolutely fine. But if you don't want lots of monsters attacking you, stay away from that area of effect abilities. So that's pretty much it. Just continue doing this until you have 40 kill count. Now that I have 40 kill count, I am ready to enter the Bandos boss room. If I was in a group, I would have joined a friends chat and ensured this was a loot share world, and that loot share was turned on so that the loot could be split evenly among everyone else going. Before you enter the boss room, remember to drink a dose of Overload or whatever stat boosting potions you've brought. So in my case, I'll sip a dose of Overload and Prayer Renewal. Also activate any auras you brought and turn on Quick Prez. I have Protect 1 item, Turmoil and Soul Split set as my Quick Prez. And now you can enter the boss room. As soon as you enter the boss room, try and get all the minions and the boss in the same area so that you can cause damage to them all using your AoE abilities. So start off by using Cleave as much as you can and other basic abilities, and just really try and use adrenaline flasks if you've got them, and really try and boost your adrenaline so that you can use Hurricane and Quake. And once you're in that position, you can just keep using those abilities over and over again as soon as they recharge, and you should be able to soul split up enough health and you should be absolutely fine. So basically continue to do that for the entire time you're there, and that's basically it. Stand where I am standing at the moment, and make sure you just stay there as when the boss is about to respawn, and let the boss come and walk over to you, then attack the boss, and all the minions should get into a region around you so that you can attack everything at once with your AoE abilities. So that's pretty much it. There's no other strategy really to that. Sometimes the minions respawn once you've killed them. But yeah, that's nothing to worry about. If anything, you just get more life points from them. And yeah, that's basically it. Unique drops that you can get after killing the Bandos boss are the Bandos chestplate, Bandos tassets, Bandos helm, Bandos hilt, Bandos war shield, Bandos gloves, and lastly the Bandos boots. These unique items are supposedly dropped 1 every 50 general Graardor kills. The minions also have a very rare chance of dropping these items except for the Bandos hilt. On screen now are just a few splits I have had while at Bandos Godwars Dungeon. When I was testing this method, I actually received a Bandos helm drop, so that was pretty cool. I definitely recommend checking out Bandos Godwars Dungeon if you have the requirements, as it is a lot of fun and can be highly rewarding. That's all for this guide. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you found it informative. I will be bringing out more guides like this for the other Godwars Dungeon bosses, and that includes revamping my current Zamorak Godwars Dungeon Guide, as well as my regular videos. So feel free to subscribe and like this video, and all the best with your future Bandos trips, and good luck on those unique drops.